republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for attending this evening. Can everyone hear me okay, first of all? All right, thank you. At this time, we'll do a roll call. For attendance, please, Julie.
Ron Bailey.
Present.
Betty Sargent.
Here.
Deb Harris.
Here.
Laura Anderson.
Here.
George Dufresne.
Here. All right, thank you very much. At this time, we'll need to do approval for this evening's agenda. So if you look this over,
I so move. I'll second it.
it's been moved and seconded that we approve the next agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Hearing none. We have an agenda. All right, the next task is to approve July 9, 2024 Township Board meeting minutes. Those should be in your packet.
I so move to approve the July 9, 2024 Township Board meeting minutes as written. I support it.
All right, it's been moved and supported that we approve the July 9 Township Board minutes. Any discussion on that topic? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, minutes are approved. At this time, we will do a public comment section. If you probably, I'm guessing you may have signed up. Do we have that sign-up sheet? As we're getting that, I'll go over protocol if we could. When it is your turn to for your public comment, if you could please stand, state your name and your address, and you'll then have 3 minutes to provide comment. I did have one question before we began, and was there a limit to the topics of those comments? The answer is no. The public comment section here, it's for any topic that would be township specific, worthy, if you will, as well as the final comment section. There's a microphone. I'll let you up.
Rose Rowan. Rose?
Passing. Oh, she's passing.
Claire Schlock.
Yes. I just wanted to say that anytime you would like to learn more about the Camorras property to help with making decisions or whatever, our group, the Camorras Environmental Impact Committee, has a lot of information, and we would love to be able to talk with you when we're not limited to 3 minutes. So if just things like where are the edges of the plume, and what people are on city water, and what people are on have carbon filters in their basement. There's just a few, but what about the plans that that CEIC has made or begun to make for the future use of the property? We have met on 2 different occasions over the last 6 years. One was with Camorras was actually here, and we talked about conserving the property, but then they said, well, we can't do anything. We're interested in conservation, but we can't do anything until after the cleanup. And then a few years ago, we were approached by Muskegon County. They're interested in this property as a public park. And they believe that we would have a good chance of getting some really decent funding to make that happen. So we would love to have a chance to talk with you. And one other thing I've been thinking about today while gardening is I hope that you'll have conversations with the farmers. Find out what their predicament is. Aging, would like to save it for their kids or grandkids. They struggle. They don't want to sell their property, but they're getting all these investment firms or that are offering them big bucks for their property, but they don't want to sell it. And the fact that they're offering big bucks for their property means that they don't intend to use it for farming. But I think have a conversation with the farmers about their predicament and then offer to help them. See what you can do. If you want that land to continue as farmland, what can you do to make that happen? Thank you.
Dolores DeMuro.
Oh, no, I thought we had to sign into the meeting. It's my mistake. I spoke my piece last night.
Okay.
I don't have anything to do, sorry.
Margot Haynes?
Yeah, which way are we supposed to face here? Face you? Okay. I wasn't here last night. I was delivering my family to the airport at 3 a.m. this morning, so in Chicago. So I couldn't be here, and I'm sorry I didn't hear what all was said, so I probably will be redundant to some extent, but it seems to me it's a very simple equation. You're giving away huge amounts of tax money for the schools and tax money for the township, and in exchange, you're going to be engaged in lawsuits for a good deal of time, and I feel really bad about the image that gives for the township. I also feel bad that when all of our grandchildren want to go out and play and it's too hot to play, we'll be holding the responsibility of not having done anything. The subterfuge of putting on DuPont land is just so transparent. They won't allow digging. They haven't approved that. The solar company hasn't approved that. You're basically putting in a big chunk of delay, which with a climate emergency is not what we need. And so I feel very bad about the whole thing and about the image it presents. The beloved White River Township where I spent my teenage years and ever since then. So that's all.
Did you give your address?
What's that?
When you stood, did you give your address?
Oh, yeah, I wrote it down. I didn't know I had to say it again, sorry. 5150 Brookwood Circle is my address. My family is out there and owns the property now.
Barb Reese?
Pass. Maybe the second comments, I might have something to say.
David Rudvetz?
Thank you, Dave Rudvotz, 6710 Lakefront in the township. Thanking the Planning Commission for the ideas that came forth last night and all the discussion that was allowed. It was very open, and I think that was very great. And I think the proposal that they made at the end of the day was well in line with what should happen. So thank you very much.
Nathan Nagelkirk?
I'll pass, maybe later I'll talk.
All right, thank you very much for your comments. Moving on to the next order of business, that would be the special order of business, comments by board members. Does any board member have any comments at this time on anything?
I do.
There's a microphone if you'd like to use that. On the button.
I don't know if you all know this or not, but I was born and raised on a farm in White River Township. It was a dairy farm, and we all worked really hard. I know that there are a lot of young people that out there that have spoke to me that would like to buy small acreage, amounts of acreage. So I want to tell you that because I want to alleviate your fear of having things subdivided. There is also in our township zoning that doesn't allow for subdivisions. So the zoning in our township is covered by that. It keeps that from happening. The other thing that I would like to mention is we were first settled here by small farms. There were so many small farms that there had to be schoolhouses. Pershing School, where the township is right now, was Pershing School. It was called Pershing School. And there was another one, only blocks, or what we would call country blocks now, away up on Chase Road. So our farmland originally was small farming. Now farming has grown to exponentially big amounts in properties of land. The farm that I lived on has grown, their acreage has grown from farmers that were not able to farm anymore. My father had to work 2 jobs to run that farm. We worked really hard. And now the farming is done by huge equipment. So there are people out there that would like to have a small farm. And I would really like to see that happen for young people that want to raise their own cattle, raise their own produce, raise whatever their heart's desire would like to do. I would also like to say that cattle is a really good idea for farmland. And if I've done some research on how cattle, if you have cattle on your farm, it helps the soil. The other thing I would like to say is that there's a lot of Amish people that would like to farm, and they've approached the farmers. So there are other alternatives out there for farming that I think we could look into. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren. Anybody else have anything they want to add? Okay. The next item is number 5, old business. So this is where I'll turn it over to Clerk Sargent for the primary election, White River Township, that we held on August 6th.
Thank you, Supervisor Bailey. What we have here is we had 276 people apply for absentee ballots, and 215 people returned their absentee ballots for about 78%, which is pretty good. And we had 137 people vote in person. And I have the election results, and they were pretty split, R&D. And if you want to see them, I'll have them here. Unless you have a question, who won what, I can answer that. Anybody? Okay, so I have those election results here for both the R and the D, and you can look them over. And
How many were in person?
137.
Oh.
Not too many, but we had a big rainstorm that morning. So I'm going to blame it on that, and I can say that every person that is running with a partisan ballot on this board won their primary. Well, you were unopposed. You were all unopposed. So, but you won, and so that's what the big news is. It's you won.
Thank you for that optimism, Patty. I do appreciate it. So, quick question on that topic. So, how many registered voters in White River Township?
Off the top of my head, I'm going to say about 1,200.
About 1,200. Okay.
And we had, according to this, 353 people vote in the primary.
All right, thank you.
What was interesting is that it wasn't presidential. And when it's presidential, more people show up. And we had more people in February show up than we did here. But you still won, so life is good.
Thanks for that.
Patty,
Do appreciate that.
could I ask, did the senior millage pass in the township?
Yes, it did.
Good stuff. All right, thank you for sharing. Next item is chip and seal on Hancock Road, which that project ongoing. We'll find out a little while later. Little money was spent going towards that, so we can kind of dialogue that when we get to that point with Deb in the financial section.
If you want to just say the yeses and the nos in the senior millage.
To answer your question, Margot, there were 210 yes and 89 no for going towards the senior millage.
Thank you.
Did you guys have any questions or any dialogue on the Hancock Road chip and seal?
We haven't had the chip and seal yet.
Well, right, they're going to cover it, but it's an ongoing thing. Like they started by doing some repair down towards the gully, then they're going to do a full-on coverage. Yep, between the two.
Okay.
Letter 6 would be new business. Letter 6, really? Number 6, letter A. Bill Bergerson has sent a letter of interest to be a member of our planning commission. If you recall, we do have an open seat left by Sue Lloyd. So at this time, we do have a vacancy on that board. So obviously, since me taking this role, this is a new part for me, but it's been suggested that when someone applies for that, we dialogue that as a board, and when we appoint someone to that commission. Correct? Bill, are you present?
I am.
So we can stand up and see Bill. And now, did you prepare your 10-minute speech of the why you should be placed on the commission?
I thought I had 15.
Well, if you have 15, we can definitely make time for that. Yeah.
No, actually, I just want to say I'm a new resident of the township, and even before arriving here, was really so thoroughly impressed at the diversity of the township in terms of history and just the landscape and the environment and what have you. I don't have a lot of experience being involved with this type of activity. I have done some work in Kansas City, where we lived previously for 25 years, in looking at a new congregational plan for a mainline denomination in downtown Kansas City. I'm kind of a map head. I like to look at maps. I'm pathologically analytical, so I tend to overanalyze sometimes. But when I do make up my mind as to the decision I want to undertake, then I'm usually pretty effective at acting, I'd like to say. So I'm really interested in helping, in getting to know the community as a whole and better understanding the various pieces that are new to me, maybe bringing a fresh perspective in that sense. I am originally, from Kalamazoo area was where I grew up, and so I'm glad to be back in Michigan after being away for quite a few years. I guess that's it in a nutshell. I don't think that was quite 10 minutes.
No, pretty good. Good job. Especially for ad-libbing and not having a formal speech prepared yet.
So what was your line of work, may I ask?
Well, I have kind of a motley career. My undergraduate degree is in chemistry. I also have a veterinary degree, and most recently I worked as a German to English translator. So a little bit all over the map.
Did you say veterinarian?
Yeah.
An eclectic mix of areas there. I will thank you for your interest in our township for sure. At this time, kind of moving forward.
Yeah, I would go ahead and nominate and make a motion to nominate Bill Bergerson, all right, as a new member of the Planning Commission.
It's been moved and supported twice that we nominate Bill Bergerson to our Planning Commission. So with that motion, is there any further discussion on that topic? Hearing none, at this time, we will vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Hearing none. It sounds like, Bill, you just signed up for a lifetime of fun on the Planning Commission. Thank you for your interest in a civic duty. At one point, Maybe, is it the, did you bring your swear book?
I did not, but next planning commission meeting, it's the third Tuesday.
So next
which is
Tuesday.
Next Tuesday, show up at 6:30, you will be sworn in, you have to fill out your W-4, and, because you get $30 every time you attend a meeting.
Just don't spend it all in one place.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Patty. Bill, congratulations.
Thank you.
We'll do some pictures and all that fun stuff in a while. All right, moving forward. The next order of business is letter B, Renewable Energy Ordinance. And so that's on the agenda for Don Klein, chairperson of the Planning Commission, to give us an update from last night's meeting. There he is, man in blue.
I did get an exact count of people last night, but I think it rounded out to be about between 130 and 150 people. So the Coliseum was relatively full. It had a lot of good comments. Actually took one of the comments and used that in our second session after our potty break, when we had a discussion between the panel to make some modifications to the map. And that map is over there. It's in printed form. I'm digging it into the screen. But anybody wants to see those modifications, it's over here. From that, we had 4 resolutions that we voted on to go along with these ordinances that the board is going to talk about. I have those resolutions here, all signed, sealed, and delivered to give to the board. They're resolution number 68-2024, the Renewable Energy Overlay District, and that goes along with the ordinance 60-2024, which they will be looking at and reviewing. I understand it will go on your agenda next month to vote on. Is that correct? Another resolution is 69-2024, the solar energy systems, and that goes along with ordinance 61-2024. Anybody's writing notes, you can find these on the website.
Not yet.
Not yet? Okay.
Waiting till.
We just received them.
We just received them.
And resolution?
Tomorrow.
Okay, I beg your pardon, okay. The resolution number 70-2024 is wind energy systems, and that goes with ordinance 62-2024. And resolution number 71-24, battery storage systems, ordinance number 63-2024.
So the map you're referring to?
Yep. Can we hold that up? Okay.
We can show the board what
Okay.
you're presenting.
That's the original map that was on last night, and again, in our second half of the session, we voted on making a change to the resolution. We cut off the top 2 layers of the Comores property, took that out of consideration, and then along the west end of it, along Indian Bay, there's a 412-foot stretch that will go the full length of Indian Bay in that area, which will allow people, if they want to buy property from Comores, to build a house in that one corridor, the full length. The balance of that's left in this overlay is roughly 500 and some acres total. Pardon me? 582. 582. Okay?
All right. Do you have questions for Don on the board?
I paid attention.
Okay.
But yeah,
The members that
parcel
weren't last,
numbers.
there wasn't any questions?
It's only
anybody
one
had?
parcel now.
I'm sorry.
It's only
It's just
one. and that's
parcel
right.
3.
Thank you.
It's
So
left.
when I'm at the hall, I know what's going on.
I don't know the lady, but it was Connie Crancer.
Connie Crancer.
She was one that suggested doing that, so the planning commission talked about it and agreed to make that modification.
Don, I want to personally say you guys did a great job last night. Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much.
Thank you.
That was the dialogue that took place for the planning commission and the
That's what-
changes and listening. It was a good meeting.
For Bill that is going to be joining us next week, that's what happens when we do our things. Sometimes we get along.
The whole meeting went really well, and I really, my hats off to you.
Well, it's a lot of preparation went into it. The planning commission did an awful lot of work. Yeah, we get together once a month for about an hour or so, but there's still an awful lot of research that goes on. We check the internet to see what's going on with different things. We get information that flows into us, so there's a lot of work that's done behind the scenes as well.
Thank you.
There you go,
Thank you for
sir.
that. And so these would be the revised ordinances from last
Those
week?
are revised and signed.
Okay, all right. So, thank you for sharing that, Don. I do appreciate your time last evening. At this time, I'm going to suggest to our board that we don't vote or discuss these now, but actually gain some feedback over the course of the next month, so that our next board meeting we do have, we can use this time to kind of gain insight, gain information, ask questions, and make an informed decision as we move forward for next month. So, is there any questions or dialogue that the board, if you weren't here last night, had about anything or? Okay.
One thing that I did, this is just for the board, but maybe I will never know what I did, because I can't find it now.
Don't remember.
I just showed it to Deb.
Patty had crossed off those two parcels.
Yes.
My question for Don or you, I need to know what to put up tomorrow.
Okay.
Before we
There it
leave
is.
tonight, I want to know. That's what she
Yeah,
did.
and so that should reflect what Don has provided us in here.
That is
So those-
correct.
So this would be the finalized resolution from the planning commission
Which
provided
would be
here.
still considered a draft when I.
Right, this would be the
tomorrow.
recommendation from the planning commission.
Recommendation,
So these
gotcha.
are not voted and agreed upon by the township board.
Exactly.
Well, the resolution was by the planning commission. The ordinances are the board's responsibility.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, so we will utilize the next month to gain insight and feedback, so that way, when we're looking at making a decision moving forward, you have time to ask questions of, around the community and make a board informed decision.
We need to get a map that I can,
So we could do that. I think Don had sent me an electronic version.
Perfect.
So I think we can
Perfect.
work a little Google magic and put that out there.
Okay,
Yeah.
that'd be great.
I know your experienced tech skills can go to work and make that happen.
Can't wait.
I hear Craig Harris is the person to call on. So, all right, moving forward, number 7 would be financial report. So let's turn it over to Ms. Harris.
Okay, well, I'll start, before we get into that, about the payables. Well, is this on? Can you hear me? Yeah.
Not very well.
Not very well.
It's on.
It's on. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
There we go. At the end of June, we had $641,276.79 in the general fund. We had small receipts this month. We took in $6,424.09. Last month, we had disbursements of $86,137.95. I'll talk about that in a minute. So our balance at the end of July is $561,562.93. In July, we paid for the first part of Hancock Road, the repaving that has been done. And that was $70,640. So that's why the disbursements were that high. chip and seal until they do that, and that's going to be about 30-some thousand to make a total of 106. That's what we had budgeted. So we wait for the second bill after they complete the rest of the job. So that's what Supervisor Ron was talking about. And are there any questions about this?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You like Hancock?
You like Hancock Road?
What a difference.
Yeah.
It's nice.
And that's the financial, and that talks about the chip and seal. So,
Here you go. I'm not a microphone person.
Well, thank you, Deb. All right, moving forward to letter B would be zoning, and we turn over to Don Schmiege, and as accomplice, John Howell. Or, I combined you together, that's funny. Bill Schmiege and John Howell. Yeah, sorry. I made one person out of two.
You gotta use that.
If you don't mind.
So again, relatively busy month here. Had 6 new homes. Again, I get a lot of calls. I've done several site reviews this month for new homes, and so altogether for approvals for homes, it was 6 new builds. Sometimes it turns out to be somebody just wants to know if they can do something or do what they want to do on this lot. And so I'll take a look at what they want to do, look at the lot, or they notice our ordinance says 1 acre minimum, but there's also some planned subdivisions and such in the township here too. So I'll talk them through that and make sure they understand, no, that's perfectly legit, but you know, there's rules for these things and the setbacks and such, and these are things you got to worry about. What I'm turning about to be right next door to Don, and so I was able to pick Don's brain about, they're worried about it being too low, or do they have to do fill, do they have to do this? So, well, I know the neighbor, so I can get all kinds of information about exactly how to build on that lot. And so we took care of that. So 6 new approved. 2 more I had to turn down. And it has to do with easements, and easements are always just one of those really difficult things to deal with, where you're crossing multiple lots with a, you know, and with a wanting to do a driveway or something. Anymore that really requires a private road, and the requirements for doing such a thing are pretty strenuous. And but I have had one family that you know, they were wanting to do that for the longest time, but then they were able to buy a lot and make a plan to merge you know, some properties together, and they were able to find a solution in the end. So after the 3rd try, you know, they're one of the 6 that now has found a successful way to get there. And so hooray for them. They get to have their horse farm. 1 commercial greenhouse, and again, this greenhouse, it's not a WECES, it's going to be more like a specialized cropping systems and that type of stuff. So it's more for just building or for raising specialty crops. And then accessory buildings, and then there's miscellaneous questions about how high can I build the house, and miscellaneous things like that. There's a lot of questions almost every day on something like that. And so anyway, that's pretty much it for zoning. We've I think the complaint form and the you know, addressing various issues are working pretty well, and so we've been able to handle quite a few additional things. I'm going to let John take care of the code enforcement type action we're taking. Any questions? Let's give this to you, John.
Oh, last month there was 3 code compliance issues that were resolved and closed, and 2 new ones that came in are in working order right now. So, pretty simple.
That was quick and easy. Yeah. Any questions for Bill or John on those 2 reports? Okay. Moving forward to solid waste, that would be Deb again.
We had our meeting on July 16th, and we meet 4 times a year. Anyway, we went through the budget. The Solid Waste Authority is doing very well and supporting itself, and White River Township averages 85, 90 residents a month that go there. And the gentleman that runs it, Tim, I don't know if anyone's familiar with Tim, did a quick little summary through the years of how many vehicles per year, revenue and cost per visit. And in 2023, we had 7,020 vehicles at a revenue of $57,327. It was $8 per visit as an average. He's got that all the way back to 2020. I'm going to try and get this hanging up at the hall. It's kind of interesting. He likes to keep good records, and we appreciate it. We have given Tim and his two people that work with him, they all have cost of living type raises. 4% we did for them for this upcoming year when we fixed the budget. And other than that, we approved Lake Michigan CPA to be the auditor. That's the one that we use also at the township, and so does the fire authority and, not the ambulance, the fire authority. That's Sarah Cannons, okay? I think that's it. We're going to have part of the office building resided because the siding's getting funky and causing problems. And other than that, there wasn't a lot of news. Any questions about solid waste? Okay.
All right, thanks, Deb. The next section would be CEIC. Laura.
There was a vision session held on July 10th. It was well attended. The plans for the second meeting are not set yet. The comments are being organized. The Sedona bite is high in nitrite. We discussed the sediment quality assessment, and hopefully it can be done by Eagle. We discussed White River Township solar ordinance. Solar ordinance briefly. The land of Kimura is being used for that we had a conversation that involved Claire's conversation with Ron. The KCO was signed and executed on July 9th. CEIC's petition to intervene was denied. We discussed what steps to take next. Our next meeting will be August 21st at White River Township Hall at 2 p.m. Please, anyone who would like to attend, please attend. It's going to be in person, and it's at 2 o'clock, White River Township Hall. I think that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. You said August 21, 2 p.m.?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
In person.
Okay, moving on to recycling. Julie, are we recycling?
Well, last month I had attended 2 meetings, but there have been no meetings since then. So I have nothing to report.
All right, we're still not recycling yet, okay. We'll get there. Thanks, Julie. Planning Commission, Don Klein provided input on last night's meeting. Is there anything else you wanted to add, Don?
Well, yeah, I'm sorry, I've forgotten something that I think this needs to be explained a little bit when I borrow this. Just want to tell you, can you hear me? Is it working?
That got close to your mouth. Close to your mouth.
No.
Close to your mouth.
That's right. The driving force for us to go to Chemours for this as a possibility is in the state law PA 233. That's, you can read anytime you want to look it up. But it says in there that when you're considering these overlays, one of your first thoughts is a brownfield area. So there we are. That's why we're using that as a first opportunity to talk with the state about where it should go, okay? I know there's concern both ways about where we are thinking about putting this, but it's going to probably happen whether we do it or not. Because Chemours and the electrical companies, even if we don't do it there, are going to do their own. So just keep that in consideration, that we're not trying to drive it there. It's the most convenient space for us. Okay?
Don?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
Would you be willing to explain why the committee chose to reduce the size?
Could I ask you
I'm sorry.
public? public comment section for that one, because technically Don's providing a board report at this point in time. Hey, no worries, yeah, it's okay, totally, it's a learning point for us too. But like, if you don't mind, public comment question, and then that stuff is something we could actually, he could bring up at the planning commission meeting next week as well. Yeah, well, don't mean to interrupt you, just, yeah, for sure. Hey Don, thank you very much. I do want to add the fact, so technically Don kind of stepped into this role as chairperson, so he didn't ask for a lot of extra work, but he definitely took the task on as a member of the township, so we appreciate you being chairperson when Sue retired from her role on the planning commission as chairperson. So thank you for your time and energy. It's definitely not just a show up a little bit, it's a lot of energy being put in. I do appreciate that. So thank you. We can go out for waters later for your time being spent. All right, moving forward to letter G, ambulance. This is where Laura can give a report.
Yes.
Ambulance board, please.
Can you hear me okay? I don't have to use that, do I? You sure? You can hear me. I'm sure you can hear me. If you don't, the teachers used to always complain because they heard me first. So, did I talk a lot? Anyways, so the ambulance authority, we voted to give cash in lieu of health insurance for the full-time employees that we have, which are 6. The board we were voted on the board positions, they kept their same positions. Let's see, response time is 9.08 seconds, I'm sorry. Right, yeah, 9.08 seconds. 9 minutes, I'm sorry. The financials are really good. The new box for the ambulance is receiving new paint and new detailing, so that was from the accident. So that's about it. Anybody have any questions? Financials are good and they're all right here if you want to see them. Any questions?
All right.
We're good?
Good. All right, well, thank you. I'll do the fire authority report. So update, as I mentioned in last month's meeting, the fire board voted to allow the construction to begin on a storage building out behind. So that's moving forward with the right next steps there. They also did the board elections and kind of put everyone in their place to continue to do that work there. That's kind of it. Any questions regarding fire authority?
Did you say they began construction?
So technically not began yet because the National Guard is actually helping construct that, so their timeline's a little bit different. But the next steps have been taken because by August they had to have materials ready to go so that at their Guard weekend they can begin that process. Because it's actually being constructed for free through the National Guard. And so the only cost involved are the materials for the actual structure. Any further questions on fire? Okay. Letter I would be accounts payable. This is where Patty spends some money.
Yes, it's my favorite thing to do, especially when it's not learning. No,
We're penny country.
So we had bills totaling $26,252.15. But that included our assessment, our assessor, and our GIS services, and BSNA software. It was a lot of stuff, and our QuickBooks, so that we can generate these reports. So I would like to make a motion that we approve accounts payable for $26,252.15.
I'll support it.
You running the meeting? Go ahead, second. It's been moved and supported, and Patty is happy to spend $26,252.15. Any discussion on paying those bills? Because it is paying money, it would be a roll call vote. Please, Julie.
George Dufresne,
Yes.
Maura Anderson.
Yes.
Deb Harris,
Yes.
Patty Sargent,
Yes.
Ron Bailey.
Yes. Okay, we have paid the bills for this month. The lights are still on. Well, hopefully not right now, because we're not there. Okay, next section, moving forward would be other business. I do have a few items that I want to bring up as correspondence to the board. So I've been exchanging some emails for the past, I would say, 3 weeks by a gentleman named Nathan Erber, who contacted me from the Michigan Geological Survey. So he's actually going around the county, and they're currently have just finished up work in Blue Lake Township, and what they're doing is drilling down to bedrock, doing a geological study of the area. So they're actually going to be utilizing White River Township property as a drilling site. And so you'll be seeing them, should be within the next week. I got a confirmation email today that states that they just finished up their work. So I would say, if not the end of this week, early next week, we should see them setting up shop in the yard. It'd be just north of the parking lot, kind of just in that grassy area just before the soybean field right there. The second thing is they had asked was, could they put a test well in? They just used that to as like a monitoring site from around the county. And so I said the next step to be taken would be reaching out to the county and following the appropriate well steps there. Not having the right verbiage, I just said that would be the right next step. Would that be appropriate based off of, okay, right?
Health Department.
Right, right. So that's something, it's not going to be utilized for a, drinkable water. It's just a monitoring well that they're putting through.
I like that. It would be nice to ask them if we could see some of the results.
Yeah, so I think it takes a good week for them to do their work.
Okay.
And so they'll be there for a bit doing their tests. The next thing I want to bring up is, for those that don't know on the board here, Bob Hagan, who's a member of the Planning Commission, unfortunately was in the hospital for a little while. I don't know the current status or for what. Is that where Mary Freebed?
Yeah, he's talked with him yesterday. He seemed to think that he'll be coming home Thursday night.
Okay, all right, so
But
just.
he had a pacemaker installed.
A pacemaker was installed? Okay, so just want to make sure he's in your thoughts as we support our fellow township members there. The third thing I want to bring up, and I left it actually in the office at the Township Hall, but I want to make sure it's noted. I received a letter from Mayor Lohman from the City of Montague regarding contributions and then the organization support for the White Lake fireworks actually. And I received a kind of a print off, if you will, of contributions from area businesses, but also area municipalities. And obviously we do give money to the fireworks, but they're looking to obviously find more financial support. So I think this is going to be a dialogue that transfers forward. If I recall, that's why I wish the letter was right here in front of me.
I can tell you.
You can?
Yeah, last year we gave $500, and they're asking us for $600 this time.
Well, when I talked to him, it sounded like it was going to go up.
But-
We had to hire new people.
Yeah, they're looking for more people to also help
Right.
organize it. So I think what they were trying to do is see if they could try to get one person allocated from each municipality that was kind of like surrounding the White Lake area to be involved. So at this point, I might be like, hey, who wants to be that person? But it might be eventually saying, hey, who wants to be that person? Or like picking someone from the audience to be that person could be a thing.
Okay.
You know, so that will be moving forward to help create a stronger, more vibrant fireworks program in the White Lake area. Okay? Anything else you want to add to that?
No.
Oh, okay. And that look on your face, Patty. All right. Those are the three things I want to bring to the board's attention. Anything else from other business or correspondence from the board? Okay. That brings us to item number 9, which is the second public comment section. If you do want to make public comment, please stand and state your name, address, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Barb Reese, 7523 North Old Channel Trail. I just have a question about, can Camorras say no to this overlay?
So technically, the board won't answer questions at public comment, but I will answer that question. So and I say it just so there's some misconception being clarified here. So actually, Camorras is fully aware of it.
Okay.
Through letter and phone call, a discussion I've had with them. And so technically, can they say no? They can't say no to it being placed there, but they technically could say no to a project necessarily because it's their own land on technicalities.
Okay. That was just
Yeah.
a question.
But they're very aware and are in favor.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
They're in our favor then, is that?
Hi, Mike Fargo, 10304 Lost Valley, and apologies for jumping in earlier. I didn't mean to violate protocol. We were at the meeting yesterday, but we had to leave after the break, and I just was curious about the discussion, and you may not feel comfortable sharing the conversation, but what it was that resulted in the reduction in the size of the brownfield for the energy overlay, just because it seems like the larger area we have available, the more attractive that ultimately might to be. So I just was curious if Don was willing to share that, if that is information that we're willing to discuss.
Again, typically not a question answer format, but just out of respect for the meeting we had last night, you want me to field that one, Don?
Sure.
Okay. So based off of feedback from audience public comment, the board decided to look at two aspects, and that was looking at the forested areas in the most northern two plots of land, that those were the more vibrant pieces of land to remain untouched. So they opted to remove those from the overlay. And then seeing that there were residences along Indian Bay, especially at the southeastern corner of that overlay, and the board decided, the planning commission recommended to carry the back property line straight north to respect their space in that residential zone. And potentially, as Don cited here, maybe there's potential for future building sites to be determined. That's not something he was saying is happening, but that was just to respect that space.
Thank you.
Nathan Nagelkirk, 8078 North Old Channel Trail. So I just want to say thank you guys for your tireless work, and to listen to the majority. You guys are, the board is one of the few groups that are listening to the majority of the citizens and giving them a voice in the township, and we appreciate that. I also want to give a shout out to Mary Jo. Out of the non-government officials, she maybe has put in the most man hours, maybe not, I don't know, but it certainly, there's a good case for it in terms of fighting for what over 80% of the township passionately cares about. And then the other thing I wanted to say was the accusation, whether it's spoken or unspoken, the accusation of that somehow the farmers are not being honored by not just giving a complete green light to 1,700 acres necessarily. I grew up, I think it's safe to say I grew up in a farming family. We're Dutch, so we farmed inside greenhouses, and we did wholesale lettuce and tomatoes. And when my grandfather was a kid, he would get up at 2 a.m. to get ready to go to market. And then all of the local grocery stores would come to the market and buy the produce and get it to the shelves for the customers in the morning. And they came as far away as Greenville to I grew up in Grand Rapids. They came all the way from Greenville to Myers. When the Myers was starting out grocery store, they were one of the customers. And so my grandpa worked, when he was 70, he was still working 105 hours a week during the busy season. I've never met anyone else personally but I'm sure there's a lot out there. but 105 hours a week is a lot, so, but they ended up having to stop selling produce like lettuce and tomatoes and whatnot because the farmers in California just were able to do it more efficiently at scale. So a lot of the local greenhouses couldn't do that, but they kept selling flowers and everything. And, you know, my grandpa, the kids didn't want to carry on the business, so he ended up having to sell. But if he would have gone to the local government in Grand Rapids, yeah.
30 seconds.
30 seconds. But if he would have gone to the local government and said, well, I want to do something on my land that over 80% of the people in the government disagree with, that they don't want, because I've been working my butt off, like they wouldn't have let him do that. So, and it sounds like there's plenty of people willing to farm. I know when the people even want to farm our land, I've gotten some interest. So anyway.
Ben?
Yep.
Anybody else?
Claire Schloff, 7187 North Old Channel. I would just like to request that, Deb, if you could get that map up as soon as possible. Is it going to be on the website or?
Yeah. Tomorrow I'm going to be in there and I will be able to scan the documents, or else if we have them already, Don will send them to me. I can take a picture of the map and then put that up on the website, or we'll get an electronic version. And as soon as I get it,
okay.
When Patty sends me things at all hours of the day, we get it up, don't we? I can do it.
I just haven't been able to get a sense of it when it was up last night or what I saw today of just where it is.
Before we go to, I'll be happy to.
Okay.
I was just going to say, when the meeting's over,
Yeah.
have Claire come over and take it.
Okay.
Absolutely.
It's there for you to look at. But yes, I'm going to work on that.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Public comment?
Yeah, well, can it be a question? And now I forgot my question.
Sorry.
You got off my thought here. It was just a question. Oh, I know what the question is. Can I ask a question?
You can stand, say your name.
Okay. Mary Jo Ernst, 7044 Old Channel Trail. So last night when we were here, everybody had comments, and the woman who did the projector and showed that third parcel, and the Planning Commission talked about it and decided that that was a good fit, and they amended the resolution. Is that a process that happens when the board votes on it next month? Or do you just vote on what the Planning Commission suggested?
So it's a good question. Again, during public comment, we won't always answer questions, but given the nature of the situation, I will answer this question as well. So we're provided a recommendation from the Planning Commission, so we vote on their recommendation.
Okay.
So whether to move forward with that or not to move forward with that. Did you want to add a 2 cent there, Don?
Just a little clarification. Okay. That map is a rough draft.
Right.
It will go to our planning commission meeting next week, along with about 6 or 7 other maps that are being prepared to go into the master plan. The planning commission will review all those rough drafts, and if they approve them without any other changes, then I take them back down to the GIS, Muskegon. They will redo them with final draft, and we'll give them to the board for them to approve, and then they will, or some of them will eventually go into the master plan.
Okay, thank you.
Any other public comment?
I have a public comment and a question. I know you're not answering questions, but what the hell? So I know that the land that was taken out of the parcel last night, oh, I'm sorry, Lori Sheehan, 6690 Lakefront Drive. I live in the township. So we're sending that as our overlay, but Chemours can do whatever the heck they want to with that land. So they could clear cut the land if they wanted to and put solar panels on there, right?
Yep.
Okay, I just want to keep reminding everybody, these are not our trees. Everybody's saying, thank you for saving our trees.
Public comment is closed, and item number 10 would be adjournment.
I'll move to adjourn.
I'll support it.
World's fastest motion. Seconded over here, motion to adjourn. Any discussion on that topic?
Yeah, he's got to share next.
Patty has to share next time, okay. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, meeting is adjourned. Thank you for attending.